9 votes in the Senate, including Bernard Sanders, by the way. Remember, that's how uniparty American foreign policy is. He has an image to project. He has an image to maintain. And he's just sitting there being like, I really hope that this doesn't get out of hand because Donald Trump is a little crazy, And he's just sitting there, pants riding all the way up to his goddamn knees like a little boy.
In what situation they are and what the attitude of Russia to our prisoners. That, guys, just you before and after. And you see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands of such guys, ladies and men, there, and that's so they don't eat, they beat them, and they, so they do a lot of bad things.
By the way, I do want to mention something here, but like this is like Israel stuff that he's doing here, but these guys don't care. They don't care. You could show him like open graves from Bucha, and he would just look at it and be like, I don't care. You shouldn't have had people there ready to be invaded and killed. Like he just does not care. He is an animal. Do you still believe American foreign policy is uniparty? Yes. The broad strokes of American foreign policy is uniparty. However, Republicans are the accelerant. They come into power and they just pull it all the way. They just go crazy mode with it. The direction is still the same. Republicans just accelerate. And then Democrats, when they come into power, don't actually reverse that trajectory. There are very rare exceptions for this. But beyond like the denuclearization agreement with Iran that Barack Obama put in place, or normalizing relations with Cuba that Barack Obama also did, there are very few instances where the Democratic administration, Biden's administration, that came in after, for example, Trump's administration, Biden's administration did not actually reverse the trajectory of every single thing that the Trump admin had done prior, especially as it pertains to Israel, for example. This is open. Like, this is open in broad daylight. How does it not shock you when he's doing it? Yes, there's a big difference between trying to use a little leverage for a mineral deal, sitting down with Putin without Zelensky there. I think the goals are the same, but the method of execution matter. No, I agree with you. I don't disagree with you on that at all. I think optics when it comes to soft power and diplomacy are profoundly important. I think at the end of the day, the outcome was still the same for Ukraine. Having said that, however, the optics do matter, because if America does not even care about presenting itself as like a peacekeeping nation, then all of a sudden our European allies are going to look at that and go, oh my God, these guys are saying it. These guys are going to f us over. They've been f***ing us over, as a matter of fact. People are going to catch up to that reality. This is what I've been saying since day one, since Trump took office. His mismanagement on the Ukraine side of the bargain has been ridiculous. He could have Zelensky there at the table every day of the week. He doesn't have to undermine Zelensky at all. Whatever he says goes regardless. America holds all the cards in this equation. Having said that, however, he could just as easily bring Zelensky to the table in front of Vladimir Putin. The choice not to do so is important. It is definitely different than what Biden would have done if he ever actually wanted to put forth a ceasefire negotiation. He should have. That was my big problem with Biden's administration when it came to Israel and Gaza. That is exactly my big problem with the Biden administration when it came to Ukraine and Russia. A lot of people yelled at me at the time, but Ukraine had significantly more leverage in the initial phases of the invasion to actually put together a much more comprehensive and much better ceasefire proposal. And the Biden administration was not even remotely interested in it. It's not benefit of hindsight either, for the record, because it wasn't hindsight at the time I said it. And plenty of other people said it too. I'm fully on his side, and I don't think he said anything was wrong, but do you feel like, given how important U.S. aid is to Ukraine, Zelensky should have acted differently, glazed Trump/USA more? There is nothing. I just tweeted about this, actually. Interesting question, but there is literally nothing Zelensky can do. Nothing in this equation that will stop Trump and his admin from humiliating him. Obviously, our proxies are always powerless in these circumstances, but the decorum is totally broken. No care for diplomacy. The end of American soft power. He literally glazed them at 11:30. 30 minutes ago, Zelensky still posted a tweet being like, thank you so much, Mr. America. Thank you so much, at POTUS, for kicking me out. It is okay. We love America. It does not matter. He was glazing him. He was glazing him the whole time. Look, this is basically the proverbial getting on your hands and knees and sucking Trump off. He said, thank you, America. Thank you for your support. Thank you for this visit. Thank you, POTUS, Congress, and the American people. Ukraine needs just and lasting peace, and we are working exactly for that. What do you think this is? This is after he got kicked out, bro. This is after he got kicked out. The reality of the matter is the power dynamic has always been this way. The difference here is Donald Trump is not even trying to maintain any sort of optical illusion that we are here, we're in it for defending Ukraine. We're in it for helping Ukraine. He's just actively saying, nope, not even a little bit. No more carrots, only sticks. Oh my God. Breaking. NBC reports that the U.S. State Department is ending support for Ukraine's power grid restoration. It is so insane. It is so insane. Are you pro-Ukraine regardless of this? Just curious. What do you mean pro-Ukraine regardless of this? I've always been pro-Ukraine. The Ukrainian people are the ones who are getting over no matter which way this goes. They're either going to get fucked over by Russia or they're going to get fucked over by America. Right now, they're getting fucked over by both at the same time. He's actively telling our European allies, like, you're next. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to help you. You better buy more American weapons pronto. You're on your own. I don't care. This is a change in the trajectory of American foreign policy where we're not going to stop dominating the rest of the planet, obviously. But the ways in which American foreign policy is operated in perpetuity, whether it was the George W. Bush administration or the Obama administration or the Biden administration, American foreign policy has at least always had the image of helping people. America's the world police, but everyone is fine with that because they think like, yeah, you know, ultimately they have our best interest in mind. You know, we're all Western allies. We do it together. He's literally saying like, no, we've never been allies. Like he's dropping he's dropping the pretext. No more facade. No, know your place. You are a colony. And I think this is genuinely worrisome because I feel as though we're moving into the next phase of the downfall of American empire, where we will be actively and openly way more violent, way more selfish, way more ruthless. And there won't be any massaging of the truth. There won't be any optics for this. There won't be any like, this is the morally righteous position. Here is why. And do all of this like manufactured consent stuff. None of that. Just saying it's a protection racket and I want you to pay up right now. I don't care. There's never been a moment where I have advocated for full and utter humiliating surrender for the Ukrainian population. That's ridiculous. I think that a competent administration that came before this Trump one, the Biden administration, because remember, they were the foreign policy geniuses, right? Should have recognized that the upcoming administration is going to really escalate American foreign policy in a scary direction and not even shelter the world from the most damaging aspects of American imperialism and actively portray it as a good thing, and should have wrapped it up ahead of time, but they didn't. Part of the reason why they didn't is because they don't give a shit. They don't care. They'll say they care on television, but they actually don't care. If they did, they would have wrapped it up. They have all the power. You think Trump is the most powerful American politician?
Will President Putin have to make compromises?
Mr. President, I got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led?
This is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend from literally OAN or Newsmax or one of those outlets, by the way. Those are the journalists who are asking these questions.
This country into another war and ended foreign wars. And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. That would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
My second question for President Zelensky. Do you ever? Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the high.
That's crazy. Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend is shitting on Zelensky in the Oval Office in front of the entire press pool, and JD Vance is laughing. The American vice president is laughing about it. That's so crazy. What do you mean? Like, I get why it's funny to many people, but this is not the place for this. And they shouldn't be laughing. What the?
Level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if you do own
Like getting humiliated like this, like being an American proxy aside, you are no longer just getting humiliated by the president. You're getting humiliated by a presidential dick rider who is like a drunk baboon whose claim to fame is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm sorry, that is insane. There is nothing lower than this, okay? You're getting shitted on by the court jester. Like, yeah, and you can tell it's definitely inappropriate because look at Marco Rubio. Look at Marco Rubio versus this clown ass. Marco Rubio is like, finally, I have secured the reins of the American State Department, and it's under this administration. You know what I mean? I worked my entire life, worked my way up, and here we are. Now I'm in an incredible position of power, and this is the administration that I'm a part of.
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting.
I don't have
the
such.
office.
I will wear a costume after this war will finish. Yes, maybe one, maybe something like yours. Yes, maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper. Yeah. Thank you.
You're going to play the Lindsey Graham clips on Fox News. Dude is a full-on Russian asset now, saying Zelensky should be replaced. Ukrainians reported in December that Putin was going to try and push him out, and then here we are today. Brother, Lindsey Graham is not a Russian asset. He is a Donald Trump asset. Lindsey Graham quite literally used to be the best friend of the maverick John McCain. And then Donald Trump famously said, I like my war heroes that aren't captured. Lindsey Graham was very upset about that. That's his best friend. After John McCain died, Lindsey Graham has been up Trump's asshole, following every single thing that he says and does. Lindsey Graham will say whatever Trump is saying. He will just parrot whatever Trump is saying, but he will try to communicate it in a way that is more professional. Yeah, here, look at this. Big shit from Lindsey Graham on Fox just now. He said he doesn't know if Zelensky is redeemable. The question for me, for the Ukrainian people, I just don't know if Zelensky can ever get you where you want to go with the United States. Either he dramatically changes or you got to get someone new. He wants...
I just think there's no way the president could have signed that deal, given the way he and JD and...
Like, this man has been literally up Ukraine's ass before. Like, in the Obama administration, him, John McCain, Amy Klobuchar, they would do these joint, like, foreign policy link-ups in Ukraine. He is pro unlimited arms to Ukraine. So how is he... what is he doing here? What's going on here?
Does that mean you'll provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You know, you fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stops shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceive.
Saying security is the least consequential aspect of Russia's invasion of Ukraine is insane. No, man, that's the whole part. That's the entire story. It's not 2%. It's 200% of the story. What are you saying? He wouldn't have to grovel on his hands and knees over here if security was not that big of a issue. Trump is just laying out openly what the relationship between America, the American master, and its foreign puppets has always been, albeit kept usually behind closed doors. No, exactly.
I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back.
President Zelensky is shaking his head.
When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over.
Please
go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging in Russia diplomatically, and something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and do that?
Oh, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American citizen.
Well,
Oh my
then why
God!
I like him.
He
One
skipped
American-
over CNN's Caitlin Collins to respond to One America News Glaze Suckfest. Oh my God! Oh my God! Dude, this is a mockery. Yes, access journalism has been the meta for mainstream press for the past multiple decades at this point. There is no more adversarial journalism, but this is, once again, a new level. This is Modi shit, dude. Dude, they're gonna have the Nelk boys in there. I'm telling you, Nelk boys are gonna be in the building. Nelk boys are gonna be a part of the goddamn press pool, being like, Mr. President, what's your favorite flavor of Zin, sir?
Does a great job. That's very. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, you know, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement because there should have been no war.
If I can answer. Yes, if I can answer. Sorry. Please.
And I do like this Rosen.
Yeah, really?
You don't have to. I think he's a great guy, by the way. I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think.
No, I think why? I like this guy. I don't know.
I think he's dressed beautiful.
So I have more serious things than answer on such questions. I will answer on more serious
good
questions
say.
if I can. Yeah. So please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will not never work because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken.
Trump doesn't like that. Trump does not like that. Don't talk shit on the big dog, okay? Dude, don't do it. Don't do it. He is not liking that at all. Do not bring that up. Oh, my Lord.
Times he broke and ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. He never broke to me.
No, you were the president. You were the president. You never broke to me.
Oh, that's it. Nope, it's over. Okay. That's it. That's the breaking point. He broke the ceasefire agreement while you were president. Done. It's done. All of a sudden, okay, Krasnov activation code. Suka bliat. Beep, beep, beep. That right there is the breakoff point, because that right there reminded Donald Trump of all the times where he felt wronged by Zelensky. All the times where he's like, who the do you think you are? In some ways, I think that if it wasn't Donald Trump, but still like a brash and bold right-wing reactionary administration, the way that they would handle this, the outcomes would still be the same in terms of, like, you know, mineral deals and bringing Russia to the table, whatever. But the ways in which Donald Trump is communicating here is unique to him, because he is an incredibly narcissistic person who also happens to like authoritarian strongmen. He likes Vladimir Putin. He likes Xi Jinping personally. He likes Putin personally. He likes Kim Jong-un personally. He liked Duterte back in the day. He likes those guys. He likes Erdogan. I'm telling you right now, he likes those guys, and he hates Zelensky because he feels wronged by Zelensky. And for this insane reason, he's just like, this over. I'm going to directly shit on you. Anyway, let's continue.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods, he had conversations with our side. And we had Normandy format, you know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia. And he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough, because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes? Why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic. on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States and the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all these systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all the Europeans, in media, official and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, under these
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay. This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began those?
By the way, every single thing he said in terms of Vladimir Putin not caring about Ukrainian lives or even caring about Russian lives, or even the fact that he is supposed to pay reparations, is 100% correct. So there is zero things that he said there that is wrong. The problem here is Donald Trump doesn't like that at all, because in his mind, he thinks that Zelensky should shut the fuck up, bow down, and basically say Vladimir Putin is, his hand was forced to invade Ukraine because of the liberal administration's incompetence or something. I don't know. I suspect that that's what he wants.
Pay.
Do you agree,
This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
Because I wanted to know.
Wait, one second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine, or on the Ukraine side.
I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved, and it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country. Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. As you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltic?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about Baltic, the Baltic?
Dude, that's a crazy thing to say next to Zelensky. Yeah, Poland is in a very tough neighborhood. I'm sorry, dude, but, the only thing stopping any kind of empire action coming from Russia at this stage is just straightforward their inability to do so. They just can't do it militarily. I mean, look, they with enough American weapons and American training and Western weapons and Western training, they did successfully stop the further incursion of Russia. Every step of the way, there should have been a ceasefire, security assurances, a ceasefire, and normalization of relations, all this stuff. But goddamn, dude, it is. I said this before. Like, America will just sell you down the river every single time. Holy moly. Why Russia with ceasefire? What do you mean? Do you think that, like, there is no attrition on the Russian side? Like, are we crazy? Is that what you think is going on? This is why I said, if Ukraine had more people that they could just, like, throw into the front lines, I don't think Donald Trump would be pushing for a ceasefire like this. I think that Donald Trump, well, no one would be pushing for a ceasefire in the way that Trump is pushing for a ceasefire. But if the end of whatever happens in Ukraine was always going to be dictated by the front lines.
Mr. President, how do you what changed between the first time the Secretary of State gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
what was the deciding factor?
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
A lot of those minerals.
I didn't think we were going to make a deal, and we ended up making the deal, so that changed.
Mr. President, when and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and Putin?
I don't know, but well, they don't like each other. I can tell you that. They do not like each other. This is not a love match. And
I wonder if people will recognize why I say America bad all the time and then describe the steps in great detail as to why America bad in terms of foreign policy all the time. Maybe they'll come to that conclusion as it's unfolding in front of our eyes. You know what I mean? This is literally the 20-year process between, like, Afghan Civil War, Operation Cyclone, Afghan Civil War, USSR invasion of Afghanistan, and then all the way to 9/11, except it's happening in a matter of years, like in such a shorter time frame.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kiev or Odessa, which is going to be a very near the Black Sea?
It was my question.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa, but a lot of cities have been destroyed. There are a lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No,
and a lot of things have
happened. You have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online. But we live. Ukraine is fighting, and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest
Well,
there?
we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about, so we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian forces, European forces?
The agreement will protect them.
U.S. forces?
Yeah, we're signing an agreement.
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots? What would
I just told you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
They ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions.
Why you have confidence that Putin won't violate
Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive.
People will ask why you have confidence that Putin won't violate the deal.
I already mentioned Poland.
He's dunking on CNN as an institution. Like, that is...
For decades. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" It doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous...
yeah, I wonder why he hates Putin, man. Come on. Dude, what the Zelensky, why do you hate Putin? Why won't you align with him? Marco looks like a little kid after his first communion, waiting to take pictures after mass. Yeah, little Marco is sitting there just being like, I always dreamed of getting to this position. I just never thought that the monkey's paw would, you know, curl and offer this position to me under this administration. He could have been doing this for Jeb Bush, which the outcome overall would not be all that different. It's just that he wouldn't have to sit there and have to play catch up and have to play defense for Trump's insane, unforced errors over and over again.
And his hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, you know, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. One more question.
Hey, I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years...
Shut up! Who are you? I have no idea. Who is this man? Whose man's is this? Who is this guy?
In the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending.
Okay, by the way, the reason, I mean, I'm dunking on Jorkin the Penis Vance over here, but, you know, Debediah Vance. But this would be the normal Republican way of having this conversation. And even then, it wouldn't even go this far into like dunking on Zelensky.
That the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy.
But because he's still glazing Trump, he's going to still, you know, obviously say some unhinged shit in a second.
President Trump's doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people, you know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
I do still sometimes get surprised by how little Trump knows. And one of the funniest parts of this was when he literally said, like, what is AUKUS? Like the other day. Bro, you were the president for 4 years. You're the president again. Yesterday, a journalist asked what, you know, what's the latest on AUKUS, and he didn't know what it was. And this is yet another moment where he's like 2014, 2015. Well, I wasn't president. Like that is truly incredible.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him. A lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire, all of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broke the ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring it into the...
should be thanking the president. God damn, dude. God damn.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? Did you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come on.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens.
He's like, I'm on Reddit. He's like, excuse me, I've watched it. I've watched and seen the stories. By the way, this is where Republicans are OP. Can you imagine Kamala Harris saying some shit like this? Not about Zelensky, but like about a person. When a reporter says like, why haven't you been to the border? And she turns around and goes like, I have watched and seen stories on Instagram. They would literally make shish kebab out of her. Republicans would just destroy her. But when Republicans say it, everyone's like, hell yeah, that's pure projection of strength, sir. That's right.
Bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems with bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that's trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless.
You don't know that. Oh man, it's getting contentious.
You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you. I'm
You're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that. Remember
I'm not
this. You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
You will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position.
They're mad that Ukrainian soldiers could not survive getting shot or getting shelled. Like, is that what the problem is here? Like, how are you gonna get mad at this dude, bro? Beyond the fact that it's pure partisanship. Ukraine backed the wrong partisan horse in this process, and for Trump, who is a simpleton, it is not seen as like a uniparty objective for the State Department and for the military-industrial complex. For him, it's just like Ukraine is a libtard shit, okay? Ukraine is liberal nonsense. I don't care. And they also did not help me when I demanded that they give me blackmail on Joe Biden. So now you're cooked. I will never forgive and I will never forget. That's his assessment here. You will feel in time, is Zelensky threatening the U.S.? No, I get what he's trying to say. He's trying to do the Israel line, you know? Israel is the first line of defense against scary Muslims. That's why it's a very important ally for us. Same goes for Ukraine. Ukraine is the first line of defense against scary Russian forces overtaking the entirety of Europe. Communism, that sort of thing. Under normal circumstances, this conversation would not be as contentious because the contentious moments would be behind closed doors. It would not be in front of a press pool. I need you to understand this. The major difference here is Donald Trump is actively being like, I don't give a fuck about soft power. I don't give a fuck about diplomacy. I don't even care about making it seem as though I'm in line with like Ukrainian emancipation or any of those interests. I don't care about the morality of it. I'm America. You're going to shut the fuck up and you're going to do my bidding. Because, like, he thanked over and over again the Trump administration. Like, what more can he do? What more can he do? Under normal circumstances, these contentious moments, like Nikki Haley would never call Zelensky a dictator. Nikki Haley, President Nikki Haley, wouldn't have this moment. But if you think President Nikki Haley would not also actively work on the mineral deal and actively work to seize more Ukrainian assets, you'd be wrong. That's precisely the reason why Biden was also trying to cut those deals as well. But this difference in attitude, this openness about American ruthlessness, this openness for American brutality is a change of pace, and it's not simply left alone on the optics front. This actually means that America is just no longer trying to even do soft power under the Trump administration.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
I'm not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm
Yeah,
very
you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
speak about?
gambling with
What do you
World
speak
War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said
wearing
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you
Oh,
once? this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting, have
today.
you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Oh,
Please, you think that if you will
bro, they're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill him, dude. Dude, I'm telling you right now. Okay, look, I think he's gonna go back and some Azov freak is just gonna kill him with a black sun tattoo, and then they're gonna be actively aligned with the Trump admin. I don't know how that allegiance works, but this is insane, dude. This is actually insane. They're just gonna let it happen. First of all, I need you to understand. Right now, the entire coalition forces within Ukrainian boundaries are kept together because they all want to actively fight against Russia, understandably. But it's not like these guys are all fond of one another. Zelensky is Jewish. There's a lot of fucking neo-Nazi forces out there who have gotten even more radicalized in the process, understandably, as when you get invaded, as I correctly predicted, you don't end up denazifying a country, you end up Nazifying the country. The most nationalist paramilitaries will be seen as the bravest, boldest warriors, the emancipatory forces. I'm worried that one of them is just going to fucking murk this dude. Putin never said he was denazifying Ukraine. Yes, he did. What are you talking about? He said it over and over again. It was fucking bullshit.
speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment.
You
And you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment.
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if,
West?
if you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like.
God damn. This is the most. This is crazy. This is the craziest shit. I think this might be the craziest moment of the Trump administration so far, and it will most likely be topped tomorrow or the day after. We're a month and 8 days in. This is insane. We're not even 2 months in. This is 1 month in, dude. This is a shockingly bad display. A shockingly bad display. It is an active cuckening happening in real time.
Like this, I tell you.
Say thank you.
I said a lot of times thank you to American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand,
over
sir.
there. I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running low
I
on
know.
soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I wanted this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take.
Like, even if this conversation was taking place behind closed doors, where Ukraine basically got geared up with all of the European support that it got into thinking that there is like still a process where they can continue defending the existing Ukrainian territory and maybe even cut side deals with European allies to forcibly send back the Ukrainian men, like the refugees that live in Europe, in an effort to basically bring up their ranks so that they can utilize the existing weapons that are being shipped in from the pre-existing security cooperations, pre-existing weapons deals. Even if there was a back and forth for that reason, behind closed doors, the fact that this is happening in broad daylight in front of a press pool, live streamed to the entire world, is legitimately shocking. Now, every single European leader, understandably, is going to come out against Donald Trump and come out in favor of Zelensky in this process. But ultimately, considering America's position as the leader of the Western coalition, the Western forces, as the hegemonic superpower, all of those leaders have actively said, we will defend Ukraine, but it doesn't really matter because if America doesn't actually follow through on security commitments, then us sending forces will not do anything. Keir Starmer has said that. I don't know if the EU in and of itself, especially when Trump is also looking to make Europe poorer with its tariffs, is going to be able to have active security commitments that they follow through on with Ukraine without American military support. If you guys have a bit of guts, you would say something to Trump and Vance. No, exactly. Dude, I don't know what the is going on. I feel like Trump is just like, I don't know how Trump is going to dig himself out of this in terms of like American standing with the rest of America's vassal states in Western Europe. If all you do in the Trump admin, the reasonable heads in the Trump admin, the reasonable hawks in the Trump admin are constantly playing catch up and playing defense for the insane shit that Trump says, you can get away with that. But when you turn around and renege on all of the economic harm that you put Europe through by forcibly telling them to cut their existing energy deals that they had with Russia as a consequence of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and then turning around and being like, actually, all of that. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to say about it? Like, what is Europe going to do? What can Europe do? Let's say they want to rebuild their own militaries. There is so much runway. There is at least a decade of industrial buildup that must happen for them to actually get to a point where they can competently defend Ukraine or even themselves without the United States of America. Like, the second largest standing military in NATO after the United States of America is not France or Germany or any number of different countries. France's NATO allegiances have always been on shaky ground regardless. It's Turkey. It's not Poland. It's Turkey. That's the second largest military in NATO. It's Turkey. And we all know the Turkish-European relations, okay? It's just like, this is totally insane.
Take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want to
but I said
ceasefire?
to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what
That wasn't
this
with me.
means. It
That was
wasn't
with
with you.
a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was with
Bro, I'm serious right now, straight up. If I'm a European leader, I'm learning Mandarin. I'm learning Mandarin Peranto. It's time to go to the Chinese league, all right? The NBA is not cutting it. You're not cutting it in the NBA. Get ready to learn Chinese, Ursula von der Leyen, EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. Kasia Kallas says, Ukraine is Europe. We stand by Ukraine. We will step up our support to Ukraine so that they can continue to fight to back the aggressor. Today it became clear that the free world needs a new leader. It's up to us Europeans to take the challenge. I will cop to one thing. I did not think that Donald Trump would actually actively undermine NATO, and I think he is doing that. And I think he's not even doing that because he just has like a legitimate plan to dismantle NATO piece by piece. I think he's doing that because he just keeps flying off the handles here, and he does not know how to behave like a normal politician. Straight up, pure ego, and also dick riders that are supposed to be the normalizing voice in the room. But even he's got the long red tie. Look at him. He looks like it looks like bring your child to work day. He just looks like a fucking fatter Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr. in the room and not coked out.
President, it was your president.
Excuse me, that was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama.
I've often made fun of France because obviously, you know, they deserve it. But goddamn, dude, making sure that you have your own nuclear arsenal and pulling out of NATO before and having a consistently contentious relationship with NATO. What did they know? What did they know?
Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One question to Mr. Vice President.
It's going to be a tough deal to make, because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks these talks? What do you do then? I understand that.
By the way, low-key, Hasanabi Doctrine, don't give up the nukes, is literally the reason why this is happening. I know that you'll say, oh, those were USSR's nukes, they didn't have the active launch codes or anything like that, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't matter. But I will repeat it for those of you who do not know. Rule 1, get nukes. Rule 2, do not give up the nukes. Rule 3, if you're accused of having nukes, drop everything immediately and find some nukes. Straight up. Hasanabi Doctrine, a guide for nation building. Yeah, do not give up the family atomics, dude. Yeah, also the other Hasanabi Doctrine that I'm that I'm putting on here is time to learn Mandarin. Don't give up the nukes, get the nukes, learn Chinese. Can you elaborate on the third rule? Yeah, it's called the Libya rule, okay? It's called the rule of Libya. Look at Libya, look at the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. You will understand the difference between the two countries, okay? Or Iran even, or Iraq, but like, that's a little different, you know? Also referred to as the WMD rule, exactly. Weapons of mass destruction, yellow cake scandal.
Russia breaks the ceasefire.
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia.
I'm sorry, what is going on? Ah! What is happening? He's crashing out.
All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right.
That is 49 minutes of Kino in terms of watching America almost single-handedly over the course of like a 90-second back and forth completely changed the trajectory. We have accelerated. Here's what happened after on CNN. Trump huddled with his key advisors immediately afterwards inside the Oval. According to a White House official, Trump consulted Vance, Rubio, Bessent, etc. That was when Trump decided that Zelensky was not in a place to negotiate. He directed Secretary Rubio and his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, to deliver the message. It was time for Zelensky to leave. The Ukrainians were holding nearby in a separate room. That's standard for foreign visits. Typically, they reconvened for lunch, but the Ukrainians would not be dining at the White House. As the prepared food sat nearly on carts in a hallway, the Ukrainians were instructed to leave. The White House official said that the Ukrainians wanted to continue the talks, but they were told no. Zelensky left shortly thereafter. Here's what one White House advisor said, by the way, to Dave Weigel. What did y'all think America First meant? Vibes, papers, essays? Now, what's crazy about this is that they're still trying. One, they're memeing through it, which is insane. But what is crazy about this is that not only was this spectacle incredibly embarrassing for the United States, but it also is not, I wouldn't say this is in the interest of the American military-industrial complex. The trajectory of the Ukrainian ceasefire process is dictated on the battlefield. So some of the things that Donald Trump was saying, which he's not supposed to be saying out loud, he's supposed to be privately conveying by way of Marco Rubio, and I can't believe I'm saying this, maybe Pete Hegseth, but he is also not the right guy to convey this message, though. It's supposed to happen behind closed doors in terms of like, hey, we have all the intel. I'm telling you right now, you do not have standing in this position. Like you do not have enough people to continue fighting against Russia. This is why we're trying to, put a stop to it. And in the process, because we're the big dogs in the room, you're going to give us, all of your natural resources, or the remainder of your, publicly owned sectors that we've gutted, and we're going to pick it apart for pennies on the dollar with foreign capital. That conversation is not supposed to happen in broad daylight. That conversation is supposed to happen behind closed doors, and then it's supposed to be leaked to the media, and then I cover it, and then all of the NATO Andes and whatnot come and yell at me and say I'm an Alex Jones style conspiracy theorist. But because of Trump, it's happening in broad daylight, and it's happening in a way that might actually damage the ceasefire negotiations. Like, even if Donald Trump wants to force Ukraine's hand to get to a ceasefire, he's not supposed to say it like this. And I don't think this was a well thought out thing that Donald Trump did. He's just a narcissistic child. And instead of like actively trying to push Ukraine into some kind of negotiated ceasefire where they will put an end to this bloodshed, He is undermining the own ceasefire agreement that he could have possibly put together. So he's getting in his own way this way as well. Background of what just went down per White House official. After the contentious Oval Office meeting that played out in front of reporters, Zelensky and the Ukrainians went into a separate room, standard, while Trump huddled with his advisors. At that point, Trump decided that he didn't feel Zelensky was ready to negotiate and that the conversation wouldn't be productive, the official said. Trump posted a statement on Truth Social, and then Rubio and Walz then informed Zelensky that he was being asked to leave and the negotiations were over for the day. The White House official added that this was not planned in advance or part of a broader strategy, but just simply how the day played out. Oh my God. I truly thought that what would have happened today, initially, you know, they do a little back and forth and then they sign the mineral agreement. A week later, Trump comes out with the, you know, continued support for Ukraine tweet, whatever while also simultaneously saying, but obviously Ukraine's manpower is exhausted and we want to put an end to this. But the weapons transfers that we are going to engage with are obviously going to be a part of a long-standing security assurance for Ukraine as we, you know, pick it apart for scraps. That's what I thought would have happened. And I think that's what was supposed to happen. But, you know, Donald Trump is insane. Zelensky didn't read the room. It's his fault. No, dude. No, that is crazy. Putting this on Zelensky is insane. I'm sorry. You are out of your mind, dude. What are you, Lindsey Graham? No. There is nothing he could have done in that situation. Nothing. This is madness. I think Trump associates Brandon with Ukraine so much that he might just leave them on the dust. I think there are still larger powers at play here. For example, the military-industrial complex and what kind of benefits they get out of this, or even foreign capital. If that actually gets in the way of, I don't know, foreign capital extracting these resources from Ukraine, then they're not going to like that. They're going to tell Trump to back down. They're going to tell Trump to come back to the table. If Ukraine has the capacity to defend itself, or at least has enough manpower to continue this for at least a little bit longer, then we'll use it. We'll pump it. We'll pump it with weapons, because those weapons aren't going there for true emancipatory purpose. That much is clear. It's going there because it's a way for the military-industrial complex to continue making money. The reason why he had to do this, by the way, the reason why he had to like get humiliated like this by not just Trump, JD Vance, but also that baboon from One America News Network or whatever, who was like, why don't you wear a suit? Do you own a suit? Like, all that stuff is ridiculous. Like, it's a ritualistic humiliation that you're not supposed to put your ally through. It's especially if you have any interest in maintaining any kind of diplomacy or any kind of soft power whatsoever. He was not humiliated. Why would you use that word, Lamau? He was not humiliated? What do you mean? It wasn't even Trump yelling at him. It was a random Newsmax guy. Are you kidding me? If he was not humiliated, think about whether or not this conversation would take place with Benjamin Netanyahu. Put Benjamin Netanyahu in that position. You know what happens to that journalist? He gets assassinated. Donald Trump literally pulled the chair out for Benjamin Netanyahu and pushed it in. Think about that. In terms of America behaving like this, they should never behave like this to anyone, really. They were.
So the Department of Justice is expected to release some of the Jeffrey Epstein files today. This comes out.
Hey guys, this is probably going to come across as shocking to virtually zero people here, but the files that they quote unquote released, they released to MAGA influencers. It was scrubbed clean of any sort of new details, and that's it. One good part of this, however, is that this is a very direct promises made, promises not kept moment, and a lot of the MAGA influencers are very upset. Given how stupid things have become, I'm going to be very careful in saying this. I think this would have more of an impact on Trump's reception from many parts of the MAGA base in a negative way than literally if the Trump administration caught Medicaid and like killed their parents. I'm not even kidding. I'm so for real about this. This isn't to say that like it's not important. The Epstein files are insignificant or anything like that. I think they are, but these people are more tuned into that shit than anything else. I could totally see this being like the breaking point or a jump off point for numerous hogs. Hogs are melting down all over Twitter for not getting the Epstein files released. And obviously the House Judiciary put a Rick Roll clip to say, breaking, Epstein files released. And everyone's like, women were, the monsters who organized and participated still walk amongst us, and you're joking about it. This is a fucking insane thing to do. Not the first time Jim Jordan looked the other way when serious crimes were committed. This ain't gonna go how you thought it was. Now, it's because, much like Luigi Mangione, the understandable anger and resentment that Americans feel towards our pedophilic elite is bipartisan. But of course, when you are a part of the pedophilic elite, regardless of your party affiliation, you don't understand that. You think it's like, haha, who cares? Lol, a meme. For a lot of people, it is not a meme at all. And for many of those people that I'm talking about, they're not even, their obsession with this is definitely beyond like a normal, understandable level of enthusiasm and interest.
After a Republican push for transparency, Griff Jenkins joins us live from Washington with the details. So who's on the list, Griff?
Boy, Lawrence, that is the question. Good morning. And there's no timeline, Lawrence, for when this bombshell may drop today. But if Pam Bondi's teaser to Jesse last night is any indication, we could get some shocking revelations.
200 victims, 200. So we have, well over 250 actually. So we have to make sure that their identity is protected and their personal information. What you're going to see hopefully tomorrow is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information, but it's pretty sick what that man did.
Recall this all started after President Trump first told our own Rachel Campos Duffy that he was open to releasing some information.
Bro, it's so funny people forget. Donald Trump, ironically enough, I shit on him all the time. If you know anything about their connection to one another, Donald Trump ironically cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein far before the Clintons did. As a matter of fact, the Clintons never really cut ties with the Epsteins. Like Donald Trump literally used to be homies with them. Okay, that's why those videos exist from the 90s. And ironically enough, when he was homies with him, Jeffrey Epstein would use Mar-a-Lago as a hunting ground to get underage girls that he could sex traffic. And as soon as Donald Trump found out that he had this court case, he was like, it's done. There is no other evidence of these two people ever connecting with one another. I still, however, believe that Donald Trump's administration killed him because he was a asset. Too many rich and too many powerful people, liberal and Democrat alike, would get in trouble if the Jeffrey Epstein tapes were ever revealed. I nor the task force were given or reviewed the Epstein documents being released today. A New York Post story just revealed that the documents will simply be Epstein's phone book. This is not what we or the American people asked for, and a complete disappointment. Get us the information we asked for, says Representative Anna Paulina Luna, official representative for Florida 13. This is not going the way that they thought it would go. I don't know why they thought that people wouldn't understandably get mad at this shit. Who is subverting POTUS? The Epstein files are a total joke. I know Cash, Pam Bondi, the president. This is not the file. White House tells me that they believe usual suspects at FBI/SDNY has the actual Epstein client list and are refusing to turn it over. This is an internal civil war if true. I will be doing a special X-cast in a few minutes. Attorney General Pam Bondi says FBI withheld information on Epstein files currently held at FBI New York City field office. Bondi wants it delivered to DOJ tomorrow, but it must go through many different levels of protection of victims before released. Oh my God. How much you want to bet they're going to eliminate all of the Republicans and Republican donors from these lists and only keep and probably a lot of the Democrat donors too, but only keep a key number of Democrats from it. I do want to mention to every single person that one, I believe that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad and CIA operative who engaged in blackmailing high-profile individuals on his Lolita Express, including but not limited to sex trafficking minors, and that the American government will never truly reveal the heinous crimes that it committed, just so you understand. I didn't think you'd say it out loud. Wait, what? Why? Why wouldn't I say it out loud? Ehud Barak visited Jeffrey Epstein's New York mansion in 2016. What the is Ehud Barak, former Israeli prime minister, doing at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in Manhattan? What are we even talking about? No, it's not like a polar bear in Arlington, Texas. It's like a polar bear in the Arctic Circle. Are they in Antarctica? That's where the polar bears are, right? Can you explain the connections between him and the CIA and Mossad? I don't know, man. How did a internationally renowned sex trafficker file get a slap on the wrist by, at the time, Florida prosecutor Alexander Acosta, who then became Donald Trump's labor secretary, by the way, later down the line, because people told Alexander Acosta that Jeffrey Epstein was too valuable of a asset. Also, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's second in command. Ghislaine Maxwell's father is like the OG espionage guy. Robert Maxwell. For a writer who broke Epstein case, a rumored Mossad link is worth digging into. Reporter Julie K. Brown isn't convinced the accused sex trafficker took his own life and says associate Robert Maxwell may not have been the only one tied to Israeli intelligence. On this day of justice and transparency, I'd sure like to hear from Trump's former labor secretary. Yep, I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. That's what Alexander Acosta, former U.S. attorney in Miami, said after explaining why he cut Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart non-prosecution plea deal back in 2007. Jeffrey Epstein boasted about being a Mossad agent like Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert, according to the bombshell claims from ex-girlfriend. Yeah. Why would he work with Mossad? Genuinely curious? I don't know. Why don't you ask former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak? He's still alive and well. He goes on television. Don't ask me that. There is no Jeffrey Epstein client list, period. It's a figment of the internet's imagination and a means to just slander people. Oh, she's saying that there is no like official Jeffrey Epstein client list. He was known to record people and save evidence against them. Really? Imagine telling this to Julie K. Brown. She's being sarcastic here, by the way. Julie K. Brown is almost I don't want to put too much stress on her, which I'm sure she's had to deal with for many, many years at this point. But she is quite literally the responsible party for why this Jeffrey Epstein stuff blew up again, like almost single-handedly. Julie K. Brown. Well, if you actually read my book or anyone's, you would know that the FBI file on Epstein is public. Google it in the FBI's vault. It is, however, heavily redacted. So yes, there is a file. The real stuff that I would want to know, that I think a lot of Epstein people that have been tracking this stuff for many, many years want to know, is what those marked DVDs and CDs had in the Epstein mansion. I don't think we will ever find out. And I'm almost certain that they deleted all of that shit. I mean, maybe if they just kept it as blackmail, maybe they didn't delete it. But when the police raided, when the second case opened up on Jeffrey Epstein and the police raided his Manhattan home, they found hard drives, CDs, DVDs that were all marked with names that are redacted. The FBI since then has said, oopsie, it may have changed hands and we don't know where they are or some shit like that. I think if they're blackmail on very wealthy individuals, I doubt that they would delete that because that's very important blackmail material. But I understand where Julie K. Brown is coming from in terms of like the Epstein client list.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox, where we are following some breaking news regarding documents detailing some of the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein. Taking a look here at a post from Fox News on X in which they say Epstein files : Pam Bondi sends fiery note to Kash Patel accusing FBI of withholding docs. So according to Fox News, Attorney General Pam Bondi sending that.
I can tell you one person I know for a fact is a Jeffrey Epstein client and friend, Elon Musk's brother, Kimball Musk. Kimball Musk met his girlfriend through Jeffrey Epstein. Yep. She was one of Jeffrey Epstein's girls.
That's horrible. Okay, I'm going to do my very first unboxing. It's actually in a bag, so it's an unbagging. Just got delivered. Oh, wow. This is nice. Yeah, it is really nice. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. This is the nicest coffee I've ever had. Probably the only coffee I've ever had, to be honest. I need a scarf, man. Gotta figure out how to wear this properly. This comes from Stitch for Pally, Palestinian Gifts and Accessories. Palestinian grandparents and my Gazan dad. Thank you for donating to Gazans in need. Follow us on Instagram. Beautiful. It's huge. Looking awesome. Back into it.
And no, not every single one of Jeffrey Epstein's girls that he sex trafficked were minors, chap. There were minors as well, for sure, but never every single one of them were minors. As a matter of fact, a lot of them were not minors.
Files.
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died.
Oh!
It would be interesting to find out what happened there because that was a weird situation and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would definitely do the January 6th.
Dog, you were the president. Your main guy at the time, old Bilbo Barr, was in charge of the DOJ. This is a very convenient fact that Trump supporters keep forgetting. Anyway, I just wanted to point this out. I'm not libbed up and saying like, oh, it's because Trump is compromised or whatever. I don't think he was. I think he was initially compromised, but I think he cut ties far before any of these other elite did. Having said that, I think Trump did it because he knows not to rock the boat. That's what I think. Just because he's president doesn't mean he knows what happened in the 7.5 minutes where 2 guards left Jeffrey Epstein unsupervised. Excuse me. The 7.5 minutes where 2 guards left Jeffrey Epstein unsupervised that also there's no footage of because unfortunately in those 7.5 minutes the cameras actually broke. It worked before and it worked after, but not for the 7.5 minutes that Jeffrey Epstein was left unsupervised. You know what's really funny? This is probably the one like quote unquote conspiracy theory that mainstream media immediately was like, oh, it's not true. He killed himself. He was suicidal. Shut the fuck up. So I guess technically this is the one conspiracy theory I believe. And it was shocking to me that there were people that literally at the time when I was covering it were telling me like, no, but the New York Times said that it was a suicide. Why would you say that? There were literally people in my chat that were trying to be like, no, you don't understand. It was definitely a suicide. Please shut the fuck up. I actually love conspiracy theories. I love hearing about conspiracy theories. I talk extensively about like how conspiracy theories work in terms of why they are necessary for a lot of people to hyper focus on the wrong shit. If you recall, I have talked extensively about how like liberalism needs conspiracy theories so that people don't recognize that it's capitalism that is at fault. If you don't have a materialist interpretation of the political economy, then you have to, if you operate on good-bad dynamics, then you obviously will inevitably arrive at conspiracy theories. Many of them are obviously anti-Semitic, or at least historically, it's always been Jews that have been responsible for everything in the minds of every freak throughout history. So outside of all the silly, funny, and sometimes scary conspiracy theories, this is, I think, one area where I 100% think that the mainstream media is actively wrong and deliberately not investigating it. Like 9/11, JFK assassination, stuff like that. I don't have the full, I don't have the same level of confidence in what truly took place there. I guess with 9/11, like there is obviously a little bit of confidence in terms of like, you know, at least America's negligence in the process. But with JFK, I don't know. I mean, I meme about like George H.W. Bush, but like, I don't know, right? I don't know. I don't have that same level. I don't have that same degree of confidence in the JFK stuff as I do with Jeffrey Epstein, possibly because I was literally there when this stuff was getting uncovered. So I paid close attention to it. And I think his job was basically to connect very wealthy people with one another and also simultaneously blackmail incredibly wealthy people as well. It's not like some kind of satanic conspiracy theory or whatsoever. I think it's a pretty straightforward honeypot blackmail operation. Personally, it is ridiculous that this person who got busted dead to rights for child sex trafficking got the most sweetheart plea deal of all time from U.S. attorney at the time and then Trump's labor secretary, Alexander Acosta, that literally allowed him to leave the prison. There is no world in which you do child sex trafficking and you're caught dead to rights and then the government lets you leave the prison during your sentence on the weekends. That is not real. That doesn't happen in Norway. That is crazy.
Now, I do have a copy of that letter that was obtained by Fox News. A live now look at the Capitol building as I read to you what the Attorney General had to say. She goes on to say this: Dear Director Patel, before you came into office, I requested the full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this request, I received approximately 200 pages of documents, which consisted primarily in flight logs, Epstein's list of contacts, and a list of victims' names and phone numbers. I repeatedly questioned whether this was the full set of documents responsive to my request and was repeatedly assured by the FBI that we had received the full set of documents. Late yesterday, I learned from a source that the FBI field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Despite my repeated requests, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke yesterday, you were just as surprised as I was to learn of this new information. She goes on to say by 8 a.m. tomorrow.
What do I make of this intra-hog administrative warfare? I think it's bullshit. I think they're faking it. I think that they are basically fake fighting because there's no shot. Like, in order to believe that the Trump administration is honest about like releasing these files, you have to legitimately be a QAnon conspiracist. You have to legitimately think that Donald Trump is actually interested in undermining the deep state. Donald Trump has never been interested in undermining the deep state because the deep state, a concept that was literally initially invented in Turkey, okay, with the MIT, is a parallel government, a parallel governance, an espionage agency that operates not at the behest of the government, but actually operates alongside the government and oftentimes will undermine the government. Now, while I do believe that in the United States of America, especially in periods of the Cold War, there were instances where the CIA and numerous other agencies like that did operate outside of the boundaries of the American government, but ultimately still at the behest of American capital. Donald Trump is virtually the greatest deity of American capital. He is a heaven sent for American capital. Why the would the deep state be against him? No, he hates the annoying, boring, lawyer-ass libtards in the FBI. That's it. Why do you think he never talks about the CIA, for example? He rarely ever talks about the CIA. And also, he's a very petty man. He just hates the whole Christopher Steele dossier shit. He doesn't hate the deep state. There is no parallel interest. There's no parallel governance within the American State Department. Donald Trump is the American State Department.
The FBI will deliver the full and complete Epstein files to my office, including all records, documents, audio and video recordings, and materials related to Jeffrey Epstein and his clients. Regardless of how much information was obtained, there will be no withholdings or limitations to my or your access. Finally, she says, I am also directing you to conduct an immediate investigation into why my order to the FBI was not followed. You will deliver to me a comprehensive report of your findings and proposed personnel action within 14 days. I appreciate your immediate attention to this important matter. I know that we are both committed to transparency for the American people, and I look forward to continuing to work with you to serve our president and our country. And then it signs.
They're not going to destroy it. They're just going to put it under a mountain of paperwork. They're going to put it on that like inaccessible information processing system that they have, which if they haven't already, inaccessible by outside internet or anything like that. Yeah, the air gap system that they have. That's probably where they put it. They wouldn't delete it, I don't think. But I will tell you this. I do not think that they will actually reveal any new information, or if they do, it'll be like legitimate evidence about Hillary Clinton's involvement, potentially. Even that is a bridge too far in my estimation. But you bet your ass Ehud Barak is not going to be talked about. You know what I mean? You think the Trump administration would actively undermine Israeli assets, for example? No. If you think that they would, if the Trump administration will burn Israeli assets or even CIA assets, you're out of your mind. That is a big if, by the way, even for the Hillary Clinton I think that they would also go so far as to protect the Clintons as well. 100p, because these guys are all elites. Donald Trump hates the Clintons, even though he was friends with the Clintons for the longest time. There's no shot because it's too disruptive. That would be unironically too disruptive. That'd be the most disruptive thing that Donald Trump has done thus far. Regardless of his petty grievances, Trump knows where his bread is buttered. So the Jeffrey Jebediah Epstein files were given to MAGA meme guy DC Drano, Libs of TikTok, former OAN anchor Liz Wheeler, who we're reading, Pizzagate promoter Mike Cernovich, and numerous others. Yeah. The person that they gave this to, truly unreal. The Epstein files are being selectively released to, of all people, Mike Cernovich,
So, one of the videos I've had people tell me I should check out here, we got Mr. Artie boy, our Artie boy. Artie gonna give you a like, Artie. We got Artie dropping another frag punk video. Yo, I know like it's not necessarily, maybe it is what he's going for. I don't know. You always have a creator you think of when you think of a game. Right now, for me, I think of frag punk. Dude, this guy's face is jumping in my freaking noggin. He's in my brain. When I go to sleep and I think frag punk, I wake up thinking about this dude, hard as a rock, but I'm still thinking about him. You're in this one? What do you mean? What do you mean I'm in this one? Let's find out. So this is him breaking down every character, every like ability and stuff. We just get a little bit of an overview of the game. Does he touch on Chum? Does he touch on Chum? Chum. Okay, he does. He does touch on Chum.
With Fragpunk's release on March 6th, there are 13 Lancers to choose from. And while they're all able to be unlocked entirely for free, this guide will help you figure out which ones to unlock first and help you figure out which Lancer suits your playstyle best.
I'm gonna be straight up. Follow Point, Corona, and Pathogen. Those are my three. Those are my three. Turn it up. Okay, bet. We'll crank it.
I'm not only going to tell you what their abilities do, but I'm also going to give you tips and tricks for each ability to get the most
Mad Dog
out of
spray.
the entire kit that's available to you. You're going to want to know as much as you can if you want to climb the ranks fast in Fragpunk, so now's the time to like and subscribe if you want to see more Fragpunk content. I'm going to be spending a ton of time with the top 500 players.
I like that and subscribe
so that you can learn from the best. Also, the amazing folks at Bad Guitar Studios were kind enough to give me 5 Pioneer Bundle keys to give away to my subscribers. The giveaway is running right now on my Discord server, linked below. We have dedicated.
You get 5, but not me. You get 5, but not me. Yo, hey, W giveaway though. If you guys want to get the Pioneer Bundle, like it's limited time skins you can't get anywhere else. Hey, he's running the he's oh my. He's running the giveaway.
Channels for Fragpunk and Marvel Rivals, and pretty soon the LFG is going to be super active. So be sure to join the server and enter the giveaway for your chance to win. With all that out of the way, let's get started. If you played in the beta test, then you'll already be familiar with most of the land.
Look. Her Hollow Point, 10 out of 10 would frick again. Her Pathogen, 10 out of 10 would frick again. Him Corona, 10 out of 10 would frick again. I also enjoyed playing Axon just because he can slide. That was fun. This chick here that my webcam's kind of blocking, she's kind of a little freaking ridiculous. She kind of a tad bit little ridiculous. Which one doesn't cover? There you go. Her tad bit ridiculous. Like, just because she could go invisible, it was so strong. And then she was also really, really strong too. This guy was mid, and then she was weak, and then she was weak, and then Spider, nobody really played him, so I don't know. Well, let's go ahead. Continue on. Also, Chum is brand new, so obviously, you know.
Lancers in the lineup, but the newest Lancer available on release is Chum, a stone robot with an anglerfish friend.
He's got that fat ass.
But first, let's talk about the starting lineup. There's going to be timestamps for every Lancer, so feel free to jump around if you're looking for tips on anyone specific. Broker is the poster boy of Fragpunk, and his kit works well as the basic character if all you want to do is focus on your gunplay and get yourself out of a tight spot. His first ability, Goddard's Vengeance, is a rocket launcher capable of sending both instant death and flashbacks of a Raze ult into any enemy or unchecked corner that gets in your way.
See, it's
you get
good.
2 shots every round, so go crazy.
It's good, but it doesn't one shot. You also got to keep that in mind. So many people are like, look at that, like, oh, that's OP. This ain't Raze or Rise, whatever the chick's name from Valorant is. It doesn't one tap, right? I don't even think if you direct impact it one taps. I could be wrong on that, but just AoE damage, it chunks, doesn't one tap.
His smokestack lightning ability creates a wall of smoke in a line starting from where you throw it.
This is actually good.
It'll bounce ahead to give you some more distance. His last ability is the Cherry Bomb, which creates a circle of proximity mines that will explode when people get close.
This is more just like an alert system.
Remember, switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading.
While that is still true in Fragpunk, switching to Goddard's Vengeance is even faster than switching to your pistol.
Throwback.
So if you're getting pushed by an enemy, chances are you can get a rocket at your feet and take the scorched earth approach before the other guy knows what happened. Now, I said at your feet, and that's because while the rocket launcher is fast to equip and fire, the rocket itself wait. And that's because while the rocket launcher,
it can one-shot direct impact, I guess. That's 150 direct impact. That's a one-shot kill. So it can one-shot, I suppose. You know, there we go. Answered our question. Also, I don't know if there's self-inflicting damage. There's no friendly fire in this game. I don't think. Actually, I think there might be with certain things. Like Corona has like a Molotov thing. I do think it burns your teammates. But I don't know if the rocket launcher, I don't think the rocket launcher hurts your teammates. I don't know if it hurts you.
Is fast to equip and fire. The rocket itself travels pretty slowly. So just keep that in mind if you're trying to clear a corner from a distance. For his smoke, remember that it's a wall of smoke.
This was actually underrated.
Deploy. Even if you throw this at the ground, it'll bounce in order to extend the wall, but this might take even longer than if you just threw it max distance. Given the fact that this is a wall of smoke, it's best to use this to get out of sticky situations, but you can also use it to get into them if you want to. Use it as a 1v1.
I want to get into sticky situation.
Down on 2 sides of a lane, throw it down the middle.
Also, I'm not trying to pause like 900 times per character. It's about to be a 2-hour-long freaking VOD upload if I do, but I also like how they're doing the smoke in this game where, like, Call of Duty, get with the times. The one-way smokes in those games are so abysmal where it's like on your screen you can't see, but on their screen the smoke looks a little different. But this game is going like the Valorant route where does this look like realistic smoke? No. But the plus side is it looks like this for both players. So this guy and the guy on the other side of the smoke see the same thing. So you're not going to get the instance where you can see them and they can't see you or vice versa, which is massive.
And take your pick. For the Cherry Bomb, if you're on defense, use this to hold your flank. These Cherry Bombs can be shot and cleared by enemies, so they work best as warning signs than anything else. On attack, save these for post-plant and make it harder for enemies to push sight. Overall, he has just enough kit to keep you occupied, but for me, I think I need a little bit more active util. Nitro is the poster girl of Fragpunk, and her kit is really well suited for people who are terrified.
I reject that statement. I reject the poster girl statement. Hollow point. Number 1.
Swing their own corners. Chug Chug is a combat drone that you control remotely, and you can even use it to kill enemies, dealing 20 damage per shot.
This character kind of sucks.
The wall is a wall.
Securing B.
Then you've got Mr.
The wall's a wall.
Which is an auto-firing sentry turret that can be super annoying to deal with if it's placed correctly. 20 damage per projectile might not be enough to solo the enemy team, but it is enough damage to make it hard to ignore. The best way to use Chug Chug is to have the drone enter just before your team does and pull enemy crosshairs away from your teammates. The first shots should go toward the enemies to make sure they notice you, but also try to prioritize shooting enemy utility you see on the ground. Turrets, mines, gadgets, etc., so that your teammates can focus on the fight. The wall is super situational, and this is clearly better on defense, but you can also use it to build platforms to see over cover and create some unique angles. As for Mr. Pew Pew,
I was gonna say that, but I was seeing if he was gonna say it.
Doorways or round tight angles so that enemies have to overextend in order to deal with it.
So right off the rip, that wall allows you to get in so many spots. Like, you do not understand. Chug Jug is ass, or Chug Chug is ass. Yeah, he's not. Well, the thing with the robot, I've seen, like, when I was playing, I've seen people actually kill people with it in like 1v1 situations and stuff. It's super trolly. I think what it's best for is, you know, they plant a site and you got to go push it, but you don't know what corner. Like, think Rainbow Six Siege droning. It's really good to just go in and get intel, and if they destroy your bot, whatever, you're fine. You know where they are now. You're not dead. That's what I liked it for. But her wall, especially in like some of the TDM maps, you can get some cheesy angles, some cheesy spots.
You can also use it as a sound cue if you're holding a room to know that as soon as you hear the turret go off, you can pre-fire whatever doorway or angle you're swinging. Hollow Point is definitely going to be a favorite of anybody who's good with a sniper. Meteora, aka One Last Kiss, is a single shot sniper that not only has one.
Who is that handsome guy?
We're losing Alpha.
Wait a minute. Yo, I see what you mean now. Let me just put this up here.
Locking down Charlie. Losing B.
The sniper. Meteora, aka One Last Kiss, is a single shot sniper that not only.
Who's that handsome fella? That's Decoy with hair. Back when I was pulling all the poo-tang. When I was getting all the girls and the boys. Actually. Damn. Also, this dude just stole my content. This dude straight up ripped my video for his video. What? Without my permission?
It only has one shot potential when fully charged, but it also reveals enemies who are caught in its scope. The smoke screen is a 2D hologram.
Do we copyright PewDiePie?
And that blocks vision and travels in a straight line from where you shoot it. It moves through terrain and highlights enemies who touch it. Paparazzi is a deployable trap that tags enemies that walk in.
This was ass.
The tag also needs to be removed manually, but be warned, this is a very loud trap, and if your enemies don't see it coming, they will hear it coming. Now, for Hollow Point, the sniper itself is pretty self-explanatory, and it's just as strong as it sounds, with tons of players in the top 500 in the beta making really good use of it. The smoke screen might take some getting used to at first.
Me again.
Straight line from where you fire it. So if you're...
I demand, like, so far, I feel like I'm the primary focus of the video. I want 50% of the ad revenue.
Aiming up a little bit, that could mean that your feet get exposed before you see your target. I recommend using it to push back enemies who might be moving down a long corridor, or throw it through walls to see if you can reveal someone trying to be sneaky behind cover. On attack, the paparazzi ability is really useful in post-plant situations, hiding it where enemies who go to defuse will get detected and revealed. Throw your smoke screen and enjoy the free wall hacks. Jaguar is honestly one of the Lancers that might take the longest to get used to, but once you learn how to make the most of his kit, he's incredibly rewarding. All of his abilities are interconnected to passive Hunter's Last Hit.
Yo, also, I'm gonna say about Hollow Point, her abilities are mid. All right, her abilities, they're good, but they're pretty mid. It's the sniper. It's that sniper. A free sniper every round, no matter what. Like, I can run an AR and a sniper, like some Call of Duty overkill type crap, right? Like, yeah, you can buy a sniper, like the base sniper, and it's good, and it one-shots, but that sniper is even better. The only downside is you gotta charge it up, but just hard scope that shit.
Which detects enemies. Livewire is a shock trap that deals a ton of damage while also slowing enemies and marking them with his passive. Electric Avenue sends a pulse forward that puts 4 smoke walls around enemies in the path of the pulse. These electric cages not only give Jaguar a playground to fight in, but because the enemies inside the cage are tagged with Hunter's Last Gift, you can use his ability I Can See for Miles to see any enemies tagged with Hunter's Last.
This guy might be better than I thought. I didn't know it did that.
Through walls. Now, while you can use I Can See for Miles to detect enemies on their own, it's best to save this ability to pair it with Electric Avenue so that you can guarantee wall hacks on anyone that you hit with your smoke cages. Otherwise, his Electric Avenue ability is still really good for making sure that you not only smoke off enemies who might be pushing or holding an area, but you know exactly where those enemies were standing when the cages drop. Of course, they can leave, and if you get hit by this ability, you should too, but that's why pairing it with I Can See for Miles will give you the upper hand. Because even if they leave the cages, they're still marked, giving you the chance to push up to the cage.
That could be pretty strong
against any retreating enemy. Similarly,
I could see that being strong.
Wire, if you place your trap behind you and it hits an enemy, feel free to pop I Can See for Miles to get the wall hack effect on anyone that the live wire hit. You only get 2 uses of the I Can See
also,
for Miles.
Sidetrack. You see this pumpkin head? I have those. I unlocked every pumpkin head for all the characters that had them. I'm gonna be looking hella OG in the game.
Wall hack effect on anyone with a live wire hit. You only get 2 uses of the I Can See for Miles ability. So using it to just detect enemies instead of making the most of your passive would be kind of a waste. As a bonus, I Can See for Miles tells you exactly how many enemies are nearby, even if they aren't marked by your passive.
Bro, it's gonna look spiffy, you know it.
On one enemy, and it only says 1 enemy detected, you can swing a lot more confidently. If it says 5 detected, your call. Chum is the newest Lancer. He's a stone robot with a mechanical pet anglerfish.
This guy looks mid
kit. Alongside Chomper, you have explosive mines and smoke grenades. Self-explanatory. You can deploy Chomper by himself, where he'll guard an area and chomp at the ankles of any enemies that walk near him. Or if you hold to deploy, you can control where he goes, sending him down a hallway or otherwise into harm's way.
Like, I feel like this is gonna be a good character to play for somebody who's not like too good at the game or is trying to learn the game. And I could also see it being like okay in like a competitive environment, but it's not that, like, this isn't the fun character. This isn't the character that you play because it's flashy and fun.
What makes Chum super unique is that you can feed Chomper one of your mines or one of your smoke grenades to modify the RoboFish. If you feed him a mine, he'll explode on contact instead of just biting. If you feed him a smoke grenade, the smoke actually follows where Chomper goes, making it hard for the enemies that he's biting to see, or making it easier for you to drive a smoke wherever you want. Chomper has a pretty quick cooldown, returning to your pockets after just 35 seconds. I recommend using Chomper as soon as the round starts to send him down a corridor with a mine or a smoke to either open up a lucky kill or sabotage an enemy push. That way, you're guaranteed to have Chomper back again by the time post-plant rolls around. If you like to play fast and aggro,
this guy was super underrated. I didn't realize how broken this dude was until I started playing the rank play in the beta, and then like every team was abusing this dude.
Attention to Corona. Corona is a top 3 Lancer for me simply because of how powerful and simple his abilities are.
He's
Fast lane
so
is
good.
A short dash that can also be.
But this is me too. Where's my webcam though?
Uses a super jump. Ashes to Ashes is a projectile that drops an AoE effect called Warzone where it lands. Warzone lasts for 10 seconds, and inside the
See, that I think hurts your teammates.
You have damage reduction and a speed boost, and your enemies take a small amount of damage over time. Hothead is a timed flash that comes off of Corona's face. And
look at me. Look at me. I bodied him. I remember this. I died here.
To Jaguar, Corona is best suited to use all of his abilities at the same time, but in 2 different distinct combos. For combo number 1, use Hothead and Fast Lane together to wide swing an angle with the dash, timing it to where the flash deploys midway through the dash rather than after you land. This makes sure the enemies have a hard time tracking you and ensures
if I was getting shot by a dude from the right, that's actually a good play.
Take the fight in an off angle away from where enemies with good crosshair placement might be waiting. For combo number 2, throw Warzone on the ground at a contested doorway or corner and use Hothead to peek it with your speed boost to make sure that you have every advantage in the fight. Save your dash to get out rather than to rush in. Remember that your enemies also all have abilities, so using 2 out of 3 of your abilities to get in.
Corona is just Phoenix, LOL. I'm not 100% sure what the Valorant characters do, but I could see the inspiration. I'm pretty sure Phoenix is like the guy that like snaps and fireballs, right? Like, and then the like flashbangs. Kind of like that.
and 1 to get out is going to put you at the best odds every time. Serket probably has the most misunderstood kit of all time.
She's actually so good.
Efficiently,
she's so good too.
With station to station, Serket places a beacon that you can teleport to. While in this beacon, enemies will appear as mini tornadoes, so you can see where enemies might be.
And you don't have to commit to it.
Using this ability, you can still die if they shoot your body where you initially casted the ability from, or they can cancel the ability if they shoot your statue while you're moving around. This is still super useful to get behind enemies who aren't paying attention, or to quickly reposition in a fight. Gold Dust Woman
also just
is
for
a slow-moving tornado that blinds and slows enemies who get caught in it, and Dilemma is a projectile that pulls enemies toward the center.
That's
enemies who are paying attention will be able to see you while you're controlling the teleport. But if you hide it inside of a tornado, then you'll have a much better time setting up for aggressive teleport plays. Or you can use it to bait enemies into weird situations like this clip from my friend Pixie.
Pixie, your friend Pixie. Well, I didn't realize you guys were buddy-buddy. Didn't realize you and Pixie were buddy-buddy like that.
Or you can use it to bait enemies into weird situations like this clip from my friend Pixie.
Yeah, when my clips came up, there was no my friend decoy.
I'm not a fan of the
my
Splinter
friend Pixie,
skin, dude.
Though. Apparently they're buddy-buddy. Pixie,
Not
you know what I
into
think
it.
about
I mean,
Pixie?
I love Splinter,
I think he's a
but this
fucking
is
loser.
it's not a good one.
I think he plays too much damn video games because this dude somehow is like number one ranked
paid
in every game he plays.
Anyway.
Top 100 player in every game he plays. Because he just sits and he plays games all day. Not me. I'm busy out getting action. I'm like this freaking virgin. This loser. Respect though. Pixie's kind of freaking sweaty though. Every game. Literally sweaty.
Dilemma is very situational, but use this in conjunction with your teammates' abilities, or if you're on attack, use it to pull enemies off the diffuser, similar to Astra in Valorant. If you've played Apex, then you'll really like Pathogen. Unfortunately, Pathogen is French, but if you can move past that, you'll see that—
Yo! What do you mean by that? You do not prick with the en français?
Really like Pathogen. Unfortunately, Pathogen is French, but if you can move past that, you'll see that her kit is probably one of the—
Do not type base.
The most useful in the game. Emotional Rescue is a projectile that drops a 15-second healing AoE where you or your teammates can slowly regen HP. Shroom Wall is a wall that isn't that different from Nitro's, except that it's more vertical than it is horizontal, and it can also be used in doorways to block off the entire door. You get 2 of these, and if you recall the wall, you can actually use it again. Otherwise, it can be shot down pretty easily. Killer Queen is a trap that deals poison damage over time, and unlike most traps in this game, it doesn't make noise, and it's pretty easily hidden. Pathogen's passive makes her immune to poison damage, though. So keep that in mind if you come across another enemy pathogen, or if there are any shard cards that create poison damage in some way. Shroom Wall is really underrated, mostly because a lot of people won't use its recall properly. Pathogen is really well suited for holding or taking space in the middle of the map or in a crossroads.
I'm a fan of the colors. I have to
auto
play this
snaps
game
on
for the
doorways
colors alone.
too?
Block off.
Like right here.
Suited for holding or taking space in the middle of the map.
So your wall is actually like a set size anywhere else. But look when he looks, like that door it locks on, but then look when he looks at this door. You see how?
I'm fairly certain that this is like a SND, CSGO, non-respawn game modes. I'm guessing. I don't know, man. I like respawn, and respawn is...
It's locking on this whole door, so he can cover this whole door with just one wall. Where like if he does it here, it's gonna take 2.
All to block off 2 doorways so that you can focus on one. And if you
he ends up doing it, I didn't have to
recall one of the walls to replace the cover where you need it. Being in the center of the map also means that you can hide your traps in high traffic areas and be closer to your whole team if you need to rotate to give heals. Zephyr.
Also, you could double your heals. Throw both those healing things down, and it goes like double real quick because you get 2 charges of them. What game is this? This right here is Fortnite, brother man.
Zephyr is another character that can really make
it's Fragpunk
use of her entire kit all at once. Midnight Rambler cycles through full and partial invisibility with your knife, and when the bar passes through the white sections,
this character was kind of busted.
Invisible. So be careful when using this ability outside of fadeaway. Also, you're invisible, not silent. So make sure to walk or crouch to hide your footsteps. Fadeaway marks an area for 15 seconds that allows you to be fully invisible while using Midnight Rambler and while stabbing. Get Back is a dagger beacon that allows you to teleport back to where you placed it. Both placing and teleporting does not interrupt your Midnight Rambler skill, so keep that in mind. It's best to use Zephyr as an ambush character. Set a teleport beacon in safety, then use your Midnight Rambler to sneak up close to enemies, then drop Fadeaway in an area that the...
Like, this is probably one of those characters that's like a scrub punisher, whatever they're called. You know what I mean? Because I remember dying to this character so much, like during my first couple of games, but then once I learned how to play her, it wasn't that bad. Yo, Epic, I see your message. I don't know. We'll see. Like, it could just be one of those characters that until you learn how to play against them, they're really OP, but then once you understand how to play against them, they're not that strong. I don't know, like, a character that he hasn't talked about, Kismet here. Like, I don't know if Kismet can counter because she's got, like, sensors and stuff. Same with Sonar. I don't know if they can, like, counter her, but...
the enemies are already holding, and try to go for some knife kills before teleporting away. If you don't want to get that aggressive with her, you can use her fadeaway in the middle of a map to peek down a few angles and pathways to try to get info for your team, or use it to lock down an angle, as enemies are very unlikely to push through this while it's active. Just always remember that you can TP to get out of the situation in case it goes south. Spider is another top 3 Lancer for me for his kit.
I never saw this dude play.
Yoru will feel at home here. You can place 2 interconnected teleporters on the map that you can recall remotely. Spirited Away is a thrown teleport trap that will TP any characters in range to the point where it was thrown from. And Spiderweb is a trap that blinds and slows enemies that walk through it.
Like, it seems good.
There's a few different ways that you can play them. On deep...
Stretch res is so fucking ugly.
Put one near both bomb sites to make rotations faster for your team. Another way that you can set them up is to place one in a spot that you want to come back to and carry the other one with you so that you can TP back at any time. Remember that you can recall the TPs. So if you sneak up pretty decently into enemy territory, think about hiding your TP, return to spawn, and recall the one that you just came out of. That way, when the time is right, you can TP back to wherever you got to in your first push. The possibilities are endless. His Spirited Away teleports teammates as well.
Stretch res is so ugly.
As enemies. So if you aren't finding good use kidnapping enemies, you could use it to relocate teammates who might be stuck in sticky situations, or just troll them with it. Your call. Kismet is a really great choice for the sweaty streamer type, which is why you'll probably see her played a lot in the higher ranks.
Yep, she was abused a lot.
Is a big orb scan that reveals any enemies caught inside it. Misery Angel is a grenade that damages any enemies in its range, even through
the grenade
walls.
was...
As long as the enemy is inside of the circle, they will take damage. Walk on the Wild Side is high risk, high reward. You enter a different dimension, making you both invisible and immune to
this was so good.
You can't see any enemies or teammates in the rift. So when you come out the other side, there's no way to prepare for what may be there. Hello Goodbye is the most powerful scan in
he missed an opportunity to enter. I had an insane flank clip with that character in one of my videos. Missed opportunity.
Game, in my opinion. And you can deploy it through walls, as it drops a fixed distance from where you cast it. So get creative with your deployment. I don't recommend using the Rift Walk into unknown territory, since when you come out of the ability, you still have to pull out your weapon. Instead, use it to change what cover you're behind, or to leave the room and end up behind the enemies that are challenging you. You can also throw Misery Angel before you use the Rift Walk, so that you have at least one angle cleared for when you come out the other side. Axon is my favorite Lancer by far, mostly because of his passive Dark Slide, allowing him to slide everywhere all the time. His main ability is an electric guitar that doubles as a shotgun, and this thing melts enemies. His next ability is Sticky Fingers, which are sticky explosive grenades that bounce on surfaces.
I got Sticky Fingers.
You get 12 of these, and you can just keep throwing them. When you're using his guitar, if you right-click, it throws 2 of these at once.
This guy was super oppressive in Team Deathmatch, like super oppressive in TDM.
His last ability is Super Freak, which is basically Warden from R6, making Axon immune to any vision events. His shotgun is the best in the game by far. So when you're using Axon, don't worry too much about your other primary weapon. When you're using Axon, I also recommend using the Flasher as a secondary weapon. Throw a flashbang and slide around a corner with Super Freak active to turn yourself into
this guy knows what he's talking about.
Your sticky grenades respawn really quickly, so use these super liberally, especially when you have the guitar out and you can throw 2 at a time. The grenades are enough to force people out of corners, allowing you to slide into them to close the distance for your guitar shotgun. And finally, we have Sonar, a streamer.
This is another chick, like I saw her played a little bit, but
from somewhere underwater. And while you won't find Sonar streams on Twitch, you will find mine, so definitely be sure to follow over there if you haven't already. Sonar's kit revolves around sound, which makes sense.
Shameless plug, by the way.
It's given her supersonic hearing. Echolocation is a device that pings periodically that reveals any enemies that are moving when the ring passes over them. Sonic Surge throws a projectile forward that exposes all enemies that it hits, as well as dropping a wave that knocks back, dazes, and further exposes any enemies in range. Sound of Silence is a super powerful ability that dampens the footsteps of Sonar and surrounding teammates, as well as giving immunity to any echolocation devices should you encounter an enemy Sonar on the other team. Sound of Silence is super useful in its own right, but combine it with your teammates for even better utility, especially if you have a...
Whenever I saw people play her, it was literally just for the dead silence aspect. Actually.
Zephyr on your team. Echolocation only reveals moving enemies, so try to place it in areas where enemies need to push, or use your Sonic Surge to force enemies to move.
I thought we got over this, Artie. You made this mistake in your last video I watched where you had the black screens. Artie, where's the clip? This guy's a rookie.
Keep it that way.
Axon is a really good Lancer to pair with as well. Since
another black
sticky grenades,
he's a rookie.
Quite a...
This guy's a rookie.
Sonar is really good if you play her just right, especially if you can put down echolocation in one area and use Sound of Silence to relocate quickly without making any noise somewhere else. So in summary, you can think of the Lancers in 3 distinct groups. The best all-rounders are Broker, Hollowpoint, Circuit, and Pathogen. Broker if you want to focus on your guns and have a smoke to get out quick, mines to cover your back, and a rocket to easily finish the job. Hollowpoint if you want to lock down a lane, focus on sniping, and have a quick smoke ability for tight spots. Circuit if you want to be aggro or reposition safely with both offensive and defensive throwables, and Pathogen to be able to quickly take cover, heal up your friends, and place traps where you need them. The best aggressive Lancers are Axon, Jaguar, Corona.
100% agree. This guy, these 2 right here are mad aggro. I don't really think she's like, she can be aggressive, but I feel like she kind of belongs in this list. Her. But these 3 definitely aggressive, especially these 2. These 2 are the most aggressive characters.
And Kismet. Axon to quickly slide into action and have the most powerful shotgun in the game. Jaguar to quickly engage enemies in advantageous fights, timing his I can see for miles just right. Corona to use his entire kit for extremely aggro engagements, high risk, high reward, and basically guaranteed flashes. And Kismet for the insanely good reveal, the really oppressive opportunities for Misery Angel, and the get out of jail free card with Walk on the Wild Side. And the best defensive Lancers are Nitro, Chum, Zephyr, Spider, and Sonar. Nitro for being able to scout safely with Chug Chug, Mr. Pew Pew to lock down any angles you want to watch, and the Wall to create your own angles. Chum for having his ankle-biting fish friend and being able to deploy mines and smokes to keep an angle in check.
I don't know, I might be sleeping on Chum.
Kills. Zephyr to make it incredibly stressful for enemies to push past and to get into hard-to-reach spots via your invisibility and TPs. Spider for fast rotations and sneaky trap plays, setting your team up to quickly be anywhere on the map at once, along with blinding traps to really hold an area. And Sonar for the ability...
I can't even tell 100% if that's like full stretch res. That looks like ass.
To sense moving enemies, displace camping enemies, and silence.
And before people go, but with the stretch res, it's actually easier to hit the targets, and you can see more. I don't give a shit.
To quickly reposition.
I'd rather slam my dick in a door than have to look at a gameplay of stretch res for more than 5 minutes.
Anywhere without the enemies finding out. Not only that, but Bad Guitar Studios have announced that there will be 2 new Lancers added every season. That's a new Lancer every 2 months to keep things fresh. So, who's going to be your main when Fragpunk drops on March 6th?
Hollowpoint.
And do you have any tips? If so, leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be streaming Fragpunk every week on Twitch, linked below. Thanks so much for watching, and there's a lot more Fragpunk content on the way, so don't worry, you'll see me around.
You get it around because his head
keyboard, mouse, or is there controller support?
Great video.
Is it
great breakdown.
Like a CSGO, no
little rookie here though.
What are the game modes?
Missing clips. Thought you were better than that. Thought we were improving. But at least it was only once in the video. So, you know, W on that. Baby steps. But no, in all seriousness, great video. Actually dope to see clips of myself. I'll be in contact for that ad revenue cut, though.
So I actually wasn't going to make another video this week, but I thought I might as well make one more. And I wanted to talk about Bill Burr. Now, I'm obviously like super late to the news. I mean, I guess not really, because he said he said stuff recently in the last 2 weeks about like billionaires and rich people. So I mean, it's always going to be kind of random. And obviously he had his feud with Ben Shapiro at the end of last year, which I do want to discuss as well. I basically want to talk about how the right have turned against Bill Burr. Now, I thought I'd made a video before on Bill Burr, and I actually had. This was like over 2 years ago, talking about some of his comments on capitalism being bad. And also the conservatives generally like him. And I actually used to think he was conservative, because I remember watching The Mandalorian. Obviously he has like a good character. He's only in like a couple episodes. And I was like, oh, like, isn't that like that conservative comedian? And yeah, he said plenty of like anti-woke stuff before, like many comedians have. But in my video, I compared him to George Carlin, because George Carlin obviously said like loads of offensive stuff generally, but he also economically was very left-wing. And it appears that even if Bill Burr wasn't always this way, at least he's getting radicalized, and he was always fairly left-wing economically. But it feels like all of this stuff recently with late-stage capitalism has radicalized him, and that's why people like him, because he seems like a normal guy despite his like massive success. And I just wanted to talk about conservatives ditching him and his feud with Ben Shapiro, because he actually spoke about this a little bit recently, because he's doing Glenn Ross on Broadway, and that's just like a crazy stacked cast. I'd definitely go and see that. I saw it with Christian Slater in London. Obviously it's like a good movie anyway, but it's him, Bob Odenkirk, and Kieran Culkin. So it's like super stacked cast to see on stage with like a play that actually is relevant, to be fair. Like, even though Glenn Ross was written by a conservative, I'm pretty sure, the actual like substance of it could be interpreted in quite a left-wing way as well. So today I want to talk about basically the right going from loving him to now hating him, and just how he generally like appeals to everyone by saying stuff that a lot of us want to say. And the one thing I will say about Bill Burr, and you'll probably notice, by the way, maybe I'll talk about some of his comments. The one thing I'll say in terms of privilege is he's so rich and famous, he can say stuff the rest of us can't, because some of the stuff he said recently, I was thinking about, if I said that on YouTube, would my channel get taken down? And I'm actually not sure about that. I think at the very least my video would probably be removed from YouTube. But all of that coming up for you today. Please like the video and follow me on social media at The Tabernacle on Instagram and BlueSky, and check out my various other Instagrams for my travel content and gaming content. And also, if you want to support my channel, become a YouTube member or become a patron. And let's get into the rest of the video. So before we go into like a bit of the history of Bill Burr talking politics, let's just talk about the recent stuff. So basically, he responded to Ben Shapiro. Sadly, it was in like a New York Times piece, which was like behind a paywall. I couldn't get through even using reader mode on iPhone. That's a fun hack for people. But basically, it says here, Wesley Stancer reporting for Entertainment Weekly. So he talks about this. He says, all he knew is if he put woke on what he said, it would make more money. I don't even know who he is, but that guy is a jerk off. Elsewhere in the interview, he says, I want to lose my edge. I don't want to go through life angry. And here's the thing, if you have an edge, you can never lose it. I can tap into that whenever I need to. You bark at the other dog and make it go away. I know how to do that. So yeah, not like a substantial comment. I saw some people like reporting it like he's like destroyed Ben Shapiro. It's just a little comment he said, but obviously like aware of just Ben Shapiro's insane reaction, which we're going to talk about, because not only did he make like a really long video responding to what he said about Luigi Mangione, he also wrote an article for the Daily Wire. I didn't realize they had paid articles you can read, like you have to have a subscription. But also, apparently, after he recently roasted Elon Musk, I'll see if I can play that for you if I can find the clip.
That Twitter guy, he literally sieged Heil. He didn't just Heil. You know, you can accidentally Heil. Hey! Oh, I didn't mean like that. I didn't mean like that. But when you add the sieg, you meant it. Because Elon Musk couldn't get any pussy in fucking high school? Like, we're really gonna fuck this whole thing up? Like, what does he feel he's not getting as a white man? I mean, it's like you're billion. You got more money than anybody. You're still upset? Like, how do you have the bandwidth with the amount of fun you're shooting rockets off and all of this stuff? You still have the bandwidth to be like not liking people because they don't look like you?
He basically says his Twitter account was flagged. So comedian Bill Burr said his Twitter account was flagged after he said on his podcast a few weeks ago that Elon had lost his mind.
I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for it. What a baby. How about the fact that the Twitter guy he's not even from here. He's from South Africa. He comes to this country and wants to turn it into a fucking dictatorship. He doesn't feel that we deserve democracy. Can you just imagine doing that? Going to another country and just deciding, yeah, you know what? I'm going to change this form of government because I've decided. You know, he doesn't mind living under a dictatorship.
It's funny because the U.S. has been doing that for a real long time. U.S. has been going to countries and dictating what they're going to be doing for a real long time. Us, the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, it's literally what they're made for. So what I would call Musk doing it to us is late stage capitalism.
Enemy is down.
Rise of China. Listen,
They never stood a chance.
Dictatorship as long as he's on the good side of it.
Do I believe that Elon personally did this? Yes. Like, Elon is so thin-skinned. 100% he saw what Bill Burr said because it was probably going viral on Twitter just with like randos, like not even like hardcore leftists, and he was like, let me find his account and restrict it. He has like a history of doing this. I talk about Elon Musk way too much anyway, but like this guy just being the most powerful man in the world, it's just so annoying how all the fictional depictions of villains inspired by Elon Musk are like even more kind to the reality. Like all the villainous figures in media inspired by him are like better than him, like in terms of more competent and just like better people, even though they're evil. Ben Shapiro says he used to like Bill Burr, and that's because Bill Burr, like he was saying there, is like an edgy comedian, like maybe a George Carlin back in the day, and because he said stuff that often criticized liberals as well, conservatives thought he was their friend. Now, he did say, obviously, like lots of stuff we would disagree with. I might read some quotes out and we can talk about them. But at the same time, if you actually go through a lot of what he said, what conservative Americans seem to not understand is when you attack liberals, it doesn't mean you're a conservative. There's like memes going around of like, I've seen on Twitter and BlueSky that when you're just like saying bad stuff about the Democrats and conservatives come into replies, like agreeing with you or like trying to be your friend. And it's true that like conservatives can't seem to entertain the thought that you can be really left wing and hate the Democrats. They just paint it all as one thing. So if you go on the conservative subreddit, like my favorite, I referenced them on my last video, you just see like loads of upvoted posts like, comedian Bill Burr savages CNN as un-American pieces of shit. Bill Burr's an American hero. He always sets those straight who need it. Bill Burr stands by the Mandalorian's Gina Carano, calling her firing bizarre. 1,500 upvotes. So more like upvotes, 5,000. He's obviously said like anti-trans stuff in the past. Here's one that the conservatives love. What do you mean men can get pregnant? What the fuck are they talking about? Burr asked while conducting an online search for the subject during his podcast. As a lefty, I don't understand. Well, you know what? It's the extreme left. You know what I mean. A man cannot get pregnant. We're not born with a womb over there. Unless I will tell you this in the future, that's going to happen. And yeah, obviously they love this. And you see like loads of conservative media. They used to run him as like the anti-woke comedian. Breitbart posting loads of stories about him. So yeah, even Ben Shapiro, if you type in Ben Shapiro, Bill Burr, you can find these. He has posted videos praising Bill Burr in the past about like how much he likes his stand-up routine. Bill Burr is, I wouldn't call it co-worker politics because he seems smarter than that, right? Like I've used this term before. It's basically like when someone has like incomprehensible politics, which take like aspects from like every bit of the spectrum, and you're just like, yeah, that's co-worker politics. That's someone who doesn't pay attention to politics and just has like these random opinions. I don't think that of Bill Burr. I do think he doesn't really understand maybe the political spectrum as much when he's talking about the far left, because unless he's been super radicalized in the last like 3 or 4 years, some of the shit he was saying is like pretty much as far left as you can get in terms of economics, right? Like, so he's the far left. He's saying stuff that loads of communists are loving, right? Maybe he might be a bit more socially conservative. Even the anti-trans stuff he was saying, he doesn't really seem to understand like how that's possible. He's saying, oh, men can't get pregnant, right? Obviously, trans men can give birth and can have children and stuff. So it seems like he doesn't understand that. But at the same time, maybe he just is a bigot on these things. I haven't heard him say anything recently. Maybe he has. So yeah, that's why conservatives love him, because he says stuff like this. So then, of course, back in 2022, he was saying anti-capitalist stuff, or just generally questioning a viewer of his podcast, like, who was saying that socialism has always failed. He talks about why capitalism is actually bad, right? And lots of people like this.
Last week you mentioned you don't know why people demonize socialism. I was really taken aback at that statement. Oh, Jesus Christ. Every country that has tried socialism has failed, and it's responsible for tens of millions of deaths. All right, so would you say capitalism is working? It is not, you know, when, like, what is it, like 99% of the wealth is in like 2% of the people's hands? All of these tent cities, you're telling me this is working? You don't think capitalism is responsible for tens of millions of deaths? You're really sort of looking the other way with what capitalism has done to other countries. All the sweatshop labor, all the wars we've fought over air quote freedom, where most of it is about, you know, natural resources. All of these fucking countries where we've gone in and, you know, stuck in heads of the government that are going to do what we want to do so we can take advantage of them. Like, I mean, to sit there and look at capitalism like it's, you know. But once again, I don't even think you can blame capitalism on that. I think you just can blame sociopathic people that both crave and ascend to positions of power. You know, corporations are buying houses now. They're just buying them up. Literally the American dream, buying a house. They're going to take that away in this country. This is everything that we're doing too. Control the media, like promoting the government. Control the media. There's two guys that own the media.
Now, he's taken this a step further, praising Luigi Mangione and talking about wanting to put billionaires down like dogs. And this is what got him into this dispute with Ben Shapiro. I mean, pretty one-sided dispute. Like, Bill Burr didn't respond really, apart from what he said recently. So Bill Burr obviously said, I'll see if I can find the clip. If not, I'll just read it.
You know what's annoying me about this kid who killed this CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they are at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every fucking month, and now we finally need you, and all you do is deny us. And then these pussies and all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. You know, I gotta be honest with you, okay? I love that the CEOs are afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy pieces of shit, and a lot of you are mass murderers. You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, oh, he was just, you know, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, well, what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
He also told Variety in a recent interview, the funny thing when that CEO got whacked was watching CEOs have to be uncomfortable. I'm sure they didn't learn anything, but it's like, this is how you make everybody feel day to day as you apply pressure, because that's how business is done. How are you leaving this burning wreckage of destroyed lives as you restructure and consolidate? It's fun to see them worry. He actually said this recently, which triggered conservatives again, but he talked about putting billionaires down on dogs.
People that are struggling out there because of these billionaires. And they got us all arguing liberal and conservative. We got to stop doing that. Like, I am so tired of hearing about people going to bed worried about what's going to happen next week. There is so much fucking money in this country, and there's so much work being done, you know. And if you work a full fucking week at a job, you should be able to pay your fucking rent. You shouldn't have to go out and get a good job and still be struggling. It's bad for the country, because then the kids don't see their parents and they're not getting the upbringing that they need. Billionaires, they need to be put down, you know, like rabid dogs. They're like rabid with greed and just going out and just dividing everybody.
So obviously why this type of rhetoric resonates with coming from someone like Bill Burr rather than someone who might be like outwardly like a left-wing political commentator or actor or something. Someone who's like less curated in what they say, is because like lots of like everyday people like Bill Burr, right? People who think they're maybe not left-wing politically, but most of us can agree economically the system is screwing us all, right? And that's something that's becoming increasingly clear with like each generation's view of like the system working for us. And it resonates because he has the balls to say something controversial which a lot of people are feeling right now. Like, the reason people didn't really care about what happened to that CEO is because he's a CEO of a corporation that is like one of the worst healthcare corporations, right? So in that, they're making money off not giving people coverage and actually causing people to die. They're profiting off people's deaths, essentially, even though they're paying into a system where you're meant to actually cover them. Like most insurance things, it feels like a complete scam. And obviously in a country like America, there is like no universal healthcare. So most people actually have to buy into the system to even potentially get coverage, but maybe they don't at the same time. So generally, yeah, when you're profiting off that and you're making millions and millions every single year, people won't care. And it's refreshing, I guess, because a lot of famous people are not going to even say what I just said there. But Bill Burr will go one step further and say all this like crazy inflammatory stuff, which people like love hearing because it's so alien to our discourse. Like I said, he does have a little bit of privilege in terms of his wealth and fame because he can say this stuff, where I think a lot of us can't really say this stuff without consequences, losing our jobs, losing our YouTube channels or Twitter accounts perhaps. I totally condemn everything Bill Burr says, by the way. As Bill Burr was supporting Luigi Mangione, like many Americans, Ben Shapiro was absolutely disgusted. Now, Ben Shapiro, among just supporting terrible policies his whole life and saying like so much insanely gross shit, has supported Israel unequivocally his whole career, especially when they completely destroyed Gaza. He's pretty much running every single disinformation campaign on his Twitter, personally knows Netanyahu, by the way. So for this guy to lecture anyone about celebrating death, this guy celebrates death every single day on his Twitter account. And he writes that basically Bill Burr has gone woke and he's gone full arsehole. So this is an article in December that he wrote for paid members of the Daily Wire. So this makes me laugh. I used to enjoy Bill Burr's work. On occasion, I still do. He's a comedian, which means he's very hit or miss. Once upon a time, I was such a fan that I actually bought tickets to me and my wife and two of my friends to go see him. It turned out to be one of the worst shows I'd ever seen in my life because Burr has become woke. Which is really funny because firstly, I bet Ben Shapiro actually did enjoy that, and he's only saying this in hindsight. And secondly, even if we're talking about left wing, Bill Burr isn't woke. Like, if we're talking about in terms of liberal identity politics around social issues, Bill Burr isn't woke. Like, he said some pretty bad stuff, and pretty bad stuff that conservatives loved only 2 years ago. But apparently now he's woke because he says he hates billionaires. So over time, I think he became embarrassed that many people on the right thought he was funny. So he decided he was going to go woke. He doesn't actually seem to care conservatives like him, by the way. The show I saw was so bad that he got frustrated with his audience. The audience was not laughing at his jokes because his jokes were basically about how Floridians were a bunch of anti-gay racists. And Floridians reacted badly because that's not true. There's a lot of gay people live in Florida, as well as many Hispanics, blacks, and Jews that live there as well. And yeah, newsflash for Ben Shapiro, a lot of those people who are Hispanic and white Jewish in Florida are insanely racist and probably some of the most racist people in America, and also run the Floridian government, which is heavily far-right Republican. So yeah, Bill Burr, if he says there's many anti-gay racists in Florida, he'd be correct in that assessment. And diversity in Florida doesn't mean people can't be racist. So he ended up cutting the show early and walking off stage. The reason was he was totally disconnected from his audience. That disconnect has continued. Not long ago, he appeared on Bill Maher's show, where he declared solidarity with the pro-Hamas students on campuses. Now he's proclaiming he's very happy that CEOs are walking around in fear for their lives. We tend to give comedians more leeway to say edgy things because they're trying to be funny, but it's not clear to me that Burr is attempting to be funny. This week, he explained to me that he's perfectly fine with having CEOs having to live with full-time security because they fear that they might be shot, because they're murderers too. Burr openly cheered the murder of United Healthcare executive Brian Thompson because he says they should live in fear and they don't act in a way that he would have them act in a system that he has no fixes for, by the way. What he said is truly evil. He's saying you should live in fear if you're the CEO of a company that does things that Burr deems to be bad or wrong. Is it just Burr? Is there no one criticizing private health insurance companies in America who profit billions off the deaths of other people? It's just Burr, one comedian saying that. And again, Ben Shapiro celebrates death every day of Palestinians and people he deems subhuman. So for anyone like that to be taking the moral high ground at a comedian making light of one very wealthy person dying is just so stupid. But this is just such a stupid argument, considering like who this guy promotes all the time on his channels, like Republicans and conservatives. Now, we have laws on the books, for example, that prevent crimes like fraud and embezzlement, We have the laws on the books that punish criminal activity. If you don't like the system, and many people don't, the proper response to that system would be legislation. In a democratic republic, the way to fix problems is to have open discussions of the details of their problems and craft regulations or legal fixes. Donald Trump is the president, and you helped make him president, and you support Donald Trump's agenda, and you support him as the president. Guy who has broken the law like 1 million times and got away with it, president again, has had multiple charges dropped. You're saying to people that they should have faith in the system, that this political party that's in power will actually make changes to help people not have crazy insurance bills that won't actually even cover them when they get sick. That's Ben Shapiro's solution. It's just a class issue, isn't it? It's that he doesn't want the poors to get better benefits, so you gaslight them by saying, this is not the way to get change. The way to get change is through the democratic process, which is heavily corrupted by capitalism and heavily actually infiltrated and funded by the same types of people as Brian Thompson. Do not say that's a good thing that CEOs should live in fear for their lives because Burr deems them morally inferior. This is full stop evil. It is evil. So I actually wasn't going to make another video this week, but I thought I might as well make one more. And I wanted to talk about Bill Burr. Now, I'm obviously like super late to the news. I mean, I guess not really, because he said he said stuff recently in the last 2 weeks about like billionaires and rich people. So, I mean, it's always going to be kind of relevant. And obviously he had his feud with Ben Shapiro at the end of last year, which I do want to discuss as well. I basically want to talk about how the right have turned against Bill Burr. Now, I thought I'd made a video before on Bill Burr, and I actually had. This was like over 2 years ago, talking about some of his comments on capitalism being bad, and also the conservatives generally liking him. And I actually used to think he was conservative, because I remember watching The Mandalorian. Obviously, he has like a good character who's only in like a couple episodes, and I was like, oh, like, isn't that like that conservative comedian? And yeah, he said plenty of like anti-woke stuff before, like many comedians have. But in my video, I compared him to George Carlin, because George Carlin obviously said like loads of offensive stuff generally, but he also economically was very left-wing. And it appears that even if Bill Burr wasn't always this way, at least he's getting radicalized, and he was always fairly left-wing economically. But it feels like all of his stuff recently with late-stage capitalism has radicalized him, and that's why people like him, because he seems like a normal guy despite his like